What's going on, people? It's Mr. Dore back again with another podcast, and everyone has been humble today. Ended yesterday, Nottingham Forest 1, mancity 0. We've got a lot to talk about. Yes, what is it, Steve? Do it again. That's it. Stay humble, people. All the Man City fans as well, all you content creators as well. I was about to troll the Man City fans today, but I just couldn't be bothered because they're just, I was upsetting, but I might do it soon. But yeah, people hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and get involved, people, for the conversation that we are going to speak about. Everyone's happy. We're so close now. We are that close to Champions League football. But people in the chat, how are you feeling? Get involved now. Well, let's get the panel in now. Let's first start with the man himself. Steve, how you doing, Steve?
You right, Ben? You right, Glenn? Right, Des? Yeah. Football buzzing today. It's starting to become a dream. Well, the dream is becoming reality, I should say. Yeah, the dream is coming true.
It's getting close. Next up, we've got the man himself, Glenn. How you doing, Glenn?
Very, very well. Thank you. Very well. What a great day yesterday was, and a fantastic weekend it's been for us and our position where we are in the league, particularly this afternoon's result against Man U and Arsenal. Keeps them nice and close, doesn't it? Really good.
And next up, we got last but not least, we've got the man himself. He gave me grief before the game yesterday. I'm going to be nice to Des because he was just throwing me under the bus yet again. So people in the chat, if I say anything nasty about Des, just say, Ben, shut the F up, because he'll just throw me under the bus. But how you doing, Des?
I'm good. Ready to throw you under the bus again and again if you carry on. So full of the win, full of the enjoyment, and full of looking forward to the Champions League.
Oh, here we go. Close, people. It's close. And shout out to the man himself, Brian Roy. Got the score prediction right. I couldn't believe that. He messaged me straight after the game and said, "Did I get it right?" I went, "Okay, yes, you did. You did." There's all people watch out for that. It was me, Des, and Steve. We did a video with Brian Roy. If you've not watched it, it was an amazing video. So after this podcast, go and watch it as well. It was a great insight on how he feels about Forest and a few other things that'd be very interesting to hear. So go and watch that. And before we do, I'll go through the chat. There's quite a lot of messages going through back and forth as well. Ray, we're here. We are here, Ray. The man himself, Chris. Forest are doing the double Champions League and FA Cup. Come on, you Reds. Please. I'm please. Kieran, come on, who's late? Is it DoreOntour, lads? What's he playing at? I know. I hope it, well, yes, it was Des. It was Des, Kieran. No, it wasn't Des. It was me. It was me. Davey, hope Ben has his voice back. Yes, David, my voice was gone. It was gone yesterday. And yes, it was Des. Probably still doing. No, Davey, let's be nice about Des. He's still doing his makeup as well. KO Forest, hi Ben, how you doing? I'm fantastic. KO Forest TV, I'm fantastic. Nottingham Forest 8065. Stay humble, people. We are humble. No, we can't be humble. We're that close to Champions League football as well. DJ Itchwich will be a tough. Yeah, we will talk about that. DJ Dan, I hope you are my friend. Raz Dads, evening guys. Massive 3 points yesterday. Champions League. Champions League football again. It's coming. Again, like and sub to European DoreOntour. I love it. I might change that. I might read that title. You like European DoreOntour? Bloody hell. Eve, good evening, Mr. Dore, Stephen, Des, and Glenn. Hope you're well. I still can't believe we beat Man City. Love seeing you all, Des and Glenn, yesterday. I'm just calling in Reds as well. Eve, you keep joining as well. And as well, last but not least, Thomas, who's the best player on the pitch yesterday? We'll do that at the end of the game, Thomas. But yeah, like I said, we've got a lot to talk about, people. Like I said, please do hit the like button and subscribe if you know. Right, who wants to start first about yesterday's game? Who should start? Go on. Who wants to start first?
Go on, I'll start. Said I weren't there live. I'll start.
Go on, Steve. People as well, get involved as well. If you disagree with that Des anything says, just agree with him. Yeah. So yeah, Steve, you go first.
Yeah. Where to start really? Just a great. I wouldn't say it's the best performance we've had, but it was enough, but more than enough to beat them, because I just felt from start to finish we never looked under threat, which is quite weird to say against Man City. Yeah, they hit the post, but did Haaland even play yesterday?
He's in Milenkovic's back pocket.
We'll get to individuals later on, but the two wing backs again outstanding. I'm going to come to my little gem yesterday, who I felt my personal man of the match was. He might surprise a few people, but I thought he had his best game for a very long time. I don't know, that's a little bit of a clue there.
Nicky Williams?
No. Me personally was just, again, watch on the TV, obviously a different perspective and watch it live, but what I picked up on the TV was, yes, by far, Glenn's nodding his head, but I think he's worked out who I'm picking.
People, wait.
Yeah.
People in the chat, who do you think Steven's man of the match was? Let's see if they know. I ain't got a clue, but people in the chat, who do you think his best player was? I ain't got a clue.
Obviously the standouts were Aina, Hudson-Odoi, Nico, but yeah, okay, get to that later. But yeah, from start to finish, Ben, it was just a game plan again. It's when Nuno gets it right, he gets it right, doesn't he? It just, even bringing Yates on at the right time. Okay, we didn't create a lot either, but again, you're not going to really create a lot against Man City. We took our chance when we did, and that pass from Gibbs White, what a pass! I mean, if De Bruyne or Morlow's favourite, Bruno Fernandes, if he if he had done that, we wouldn't have the last of it. It's just that pass was just pure class written all over it. And when I don't know about you guys watch it live, when the goal went in, I thought I hit the side netting. It was like it even took Nuno by surprise. I think it took the commentator by surprise. It just happened. I honestly thought Edison had pushed it wide. But it was a great time to score as well. And he wasn't even like, we weren't really under siege, were we, in the last 10 minutes? I thought Man City would really, really come on strong. But yeah, happy. Got to be happy you get 4 points of Arsenal and Man City in the last two home games.
From my view, it went straight in. But I understand watching on TV. It is going to be
yeah. You sit in the Trent to upper, so from your angle, but honestly, from the TV angle, it looked like it just happened so quick. And then obviously the place erupted and the atmosphere sounded unreal coming through the TV.
I think that's the best this season or last season, but when they got it, everyone was just jumping on each other and nearly hit.
It reminded me, Ben, of the game we beat Arsenal to stay up.
Yeah.
That kind of atmosphere, that kind of in the sun as well, and that kind of environment as well.
Next door, we got the man himself, Glenn. Is he frozen? Is Glenn frozen?
I think he's frozen.
I think he's frozen.
I think he's like Haaland. He's frozen like Haaland.
I think he's trying to be humble. But let's get Des in. What's your thoughts on Glenn? On Glenn? On the team, the match?
I thought Forest were brilliant, and I thought once again Nuno provided a masterclass against one of these top teams. You've seen lots of things in the games against the big sides recently where he's come up with a unique tactic. Yesterday what we saw from the outset was a Forest side which plays like Forest side do. When we say we don't play very well, I think we're doing ourselves a little bit of disservice. What we mean is we're not attacking very much, but Nuno stated on many occasions that we're going to have to suffer. I remember him saying it before the Wolves game when we was absolutely flying and getting win after win after win. He said we're going to have to suffer in the way we play. And against these big teams, I just think he knows how much we will have to suffer, and then they work at it. And like I say, it comes out with a masterclass. Yesterday, it was the fact that he dropped Gibbs White almost back alongside in a three with Dominguez and Anderson, and he played Dominguez as an old-fashioned outside right to look after.
He did.
Look after Doku, because at Manchester City when we was up there, Doku really ran all over Aina that day. And again, we're not talking about personal man of the matches, but the official man of the match yesterday was Aina, who when you look at the turnaround in performance from what we saw up at the Etihad, it was incredible. But he had that support. Look, I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but he had that support from Dominguez, who did that job there. But also, he was the one that went further forward. He was the one that went chasing when required. So it wasn't Gibbs White pushing on too much. Yeah, there were occasions where he broke, and he played Ilanga a little bit more narrow because he'd got Aina sort of sorry, because it got Dominguez supporting Aina over there. So Elanga played narrow, and what they did is break down the lines. So every time City tried to play a triangle, because Forest have got some quick players off the mark, even the slower players are quick off the mark. And when I say slow, I don't mean particularly slow, but when you look at the likes of Nico Williams and Nico Dominguez and Anderson, maybe, who are not known for rapid pace, they're quick off the draw. And what they were doing, they were getting a foot in every time City tried a triangle, and they weren't having to sort of fight and foul and hustle and give away too many free kicks around the edge of our own box, because they were just comfortable stepping up, stepping in, because we were deep in numbers. And then when we got the ball, we do what we do. We get it to the wingers, we get players bombing forward, and we try and score goals. And I think overall, the midfield won us the football match. I think most people say about the Premier League, if they know anything about football, you win football matches in the midfield. We've been sort of bemoaning this number 6 thing. It's always a hot topic. But yesterday, I think we didn't need the number 6 because we played 3 of them quite deep. You know, there was all covering for each other. And it really won us a football match. Because whilst we talk about sort of, you say that about Milenkovic and I sort of said in my post-match thing, Milenkovic and Murillo, for all as well Forest played and for as much as they had to soak up, they was comfortable throughout that game. Do you know, yes, he was in his back pocket, but you still got to sort of absorb City's pressure. And what the midfield absorbed absolutely everything yesterday. You know, Wood had to come deep, Elanga had to come deep to support as well. You know, but those 3 and the 2 fullbacks, I thought won us the football match, and it ended up Milenkovic just concentrated on Haaland. He didn't get a touch. Like Steve said, I said it in my post match. Was he even playing yesterday? He had that one when Wood gave him the ball early on, but that was it. And Murillo just looked like the class act that he is. You know, he had time on the ball because we were so sort of narrow's not the word, because you talk about that with the width of the pitch, but they were narrow in the way they played the lines, you know, between each other, and it just meant when the ball came to Murillo, it was normally the spearman. It was normally the spearman because there was so sort of, it was a brick wall. I called it a red brick wall in front of him, and City come up against that and they couldn't break through it. And I thought Forest were magnificent. I get what Steve says, and I get what a lot of people says. It's not the best performance in terms of easy on the eye, but, and again, without being patronising because Steve weren't there, he said it himself at the start. When you're in the stadium, you kind of see those little walls that are built up, those blocks, that foot in, you know, and things like that. And I just thought it was actually one of Forest's best performances and another Nuno masterclass. I've been saying for a long time, Forest can play against the top teams who like to play it wide, play it in triangles, you know, because they've got a system of playing. Where they come up sometimes short is when teams are a little bit more direct. So City, to some degree, Arsenal, Liverpool kind of play into our hands. You know, of course, we're picking off the lower teams, and hopefully we can do that again next week. But for this week, it was another one of these top teams who are always going to have 70% possession. It's boring now listening to Forest having 30% possession. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And for anyone who it does matter to, all possession is based on, and I didn't even know this too long, and I call myself a bit of a student of the game. Possession is only based on the number of passes a team makes. It's not like a controlling factor in a game. It's not how long the teams had the ball and things like that. It's actually just based on the number of passes. So City and Arsenal and whoever can play across the back all day. It's not effective, and they're coming up against a team who have found a different way to play football in the league and finding unique tactics. Moaning earlier in the season and for a couple of seasons that everyone plays the same. Everyone wants to be Manchester City. Do you know the best thing about what Forest are doing right now is we don't want to be Manchester City. We want to be Nottingham Forest, coming from here, pushing for a Champions League spot, and that's just such an incredible place for us to be as a football club, that we've got our own unique identity. And when we play well, as we did yesterday, when we do the jobs that are put in front of them, and with the attacking talent we've got, we're absolutely awesome. So really, really positive about that result, and that's why I'll stay humble, but I'm really confident we can get the Champions League spot now.
100%. We've got Glenn back. He had a little bit of technical issues as well.
Sorry, Dore.
Glenn got his ticket lastminute.com. But you must be
I
happy,
did.
Glenn.
I
You
did.
must be happy or just come in and see now the win.
I am. It was one of those games where I was really hopeful that I could get a ticket, and when in the end, Steve, actually on your point, I sat in a place where I couldn't see the ball going in. I was actually sat underneath the gantry, and I could see Darren Fletcher on the top there doing his commentary. So he had a very similar view to me. Voice hasn't come back yet. And in the end, I didn't see the ball go in, and I was only reacting to those jumping up and down in the lower Trent end in the Brian Clough to see it nestle in the back of the net. I couldn't see where it went in. So in the end, it was one of those games where, Des, I was listening to what you were saying. You're absolutely right. We had 261 passes to their 609, which is why we've got so little possession. But what we ended up with was all of our passes were passes going forward and actually made something out of it. We made them and forced them, and our midfield and defenders forced them to play sideways far more than I think they're used to. And in the end, they met Aina and Williams, who had phenomenal games. And in the end, they had just had to pass it back across themselves. So they probably passed twice as many as they needed to just to try and probe through. And the majority of our passes actually made some benefit of going forward, didn't they? Which is what we've been doing all season. So, yeah, I was really delighted to see a win yesterday. I wasn't at Anfield, and I wasn't at the City Ground when we beat Arsenal in that game, but I could certainly have lots of parallels between those feelings of what you guys must have felt when you were there.
Glenn,
And what a game yesterday.
What
a game yesterday.
If you was at Anfield, you never beat Anfield. Was you, Des? You'll never beat Anfield.
It was the one game I've not been to at Anfield the last 3 years, but typically there you go.
I don't know,
but no, it was right up there. I think with that, you're right, Steve. With the atmosphere in that Arsenal game at the end of the season, we stayed up, and yeah, we were really, really good for that win yesterday. We're really good for it.
I'm just going through the comments as well. There's quite a lot going through. Ricky says the team spirit the team spirit and connection with fans is excellent. It is fantastic. Shout out to Ricky. Christian said it's nice that we have defensive solidity back. If we can maintain those levels, we can get where we want to be 100%. And with that close, people, it's just can't believe I'm saying that. We're that close. And I just want to confirm we are now mathematically safe from relegation, so we can't get relegated as well. So we won't be joining Leicester and Ipswich and Southampton. So is what it is. Why are people saying that we'll win the FA Cup rather than qualify for Champions League? It's the only way we can break into Spurs Big Six. It's once for a lifetime. West Ham won. Win. West Ham win. They play till tomorrow. Shout out to J2B. Right. Let's talk about. I didn't really talk about him as much, but I think we need to today. Let's talk about Sells, because I know if no one knows, he broke the record for 12 clean sheets. He's beat, is it Mark Crossley's record, I think it is. Let's start with you, Des. Matt Sells, he's been. I'll stop when we first brought him. I thought everyone's like, okay, we've got another keeper yet again. But this season, he is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League with his clean sheets. So people in the chat as well. What do you think of Matt Sells? Are you happy with him? Think he could do better? Give your views as well. Start with you, Des. Matt Sells.
I think the key thing to mention when you're talking about Matt Sells and what we all thought, we probably did think at the start of the season that we potentially need to upgrade in that position. Do you know, he came in, he did a solid job last season, but there were one or two errors. Do you know, he come in for obviously to replace Fletcher Demos and Matt Turner, and he was a lot better. Do you know, it was instant improvement on what we had. Do you know, it was really key in some of the games, but there were one or two things that were questionable. Do you know, and we was just wondering whether he was the long-term option. Do you know, it felt, and I don't want to use this word because I'm sure they did due diligence on the signings, but it felt like a bit of a panic buy at the time. It felt like, who's available? Can we go and get somebody? And like I say, last season there was a bit up and down, and the start of this season, it kind of continued that. So there was a lot of talk, around goalkeepers and could we sign. I know a lot of Forest fans, and I was probably one of them myself who would have liked to have looked at Aaron Ramsdale, for example, because it was almost like sealing that position off, get a top goalkeeper, move on to another one. But since the Chelsea game, really, he's played absolutely out of his skin, and he's unmovable now. There is one or two slight technical flaws, and sometimes we've conceded from back post corners and crosses. And I'm always a little bit concerned with free kicks in front of goal. I remember a couple, the one at Brighton in particular, where he didn't seem to be confident in setting the wall up. But when it comes to pulling off world-class saves and blocks and getting his body on the line, how many points? He's kept 12 clean sheets, but how many points has he probably gained us by doing that? Because we know when Forest concede first, we tend to lose, not always, but it's just one of those things. When we score first, we win. When we concede first, and how many times it'd be really interesting, and I don't know how we'd ever find out, but how many times at 0-0 has he pulled off a save? Where he's tipped one over the bar, or even in that Brighton game when we won 7-0, he made a couple of really important saves early on. Which meant we had a platform to build upon. And I just can't fault him. I look around the Premier League, and there's lots of talk about all these good goalkeepers. And I saw, I think it was Casper Schmeichel on another podcast, Stick to Football. He was talking. He says now shot stopping is a prerequisite for a goalkeeper, and teams like your goalkeeper to play out. Thank God we don't rely on Matt Sells to do that. Because again, he plays to our system. He absolutely fits what we do. When it needs to go long, towards Wood and Gibbs White and get up the other end of the pitch, he absolutely does that. And we'll almost concede possession in that way to then regroup, pack in and go again. But when they do break through the brick wall in midfield and the two monsters at the back, you're coming up against a guy who's unbelievable. I said after the Wolves game, I used the term, I thought of it halfway through. I don't know what made me think of it, but I said after the Wolves game, you need a wrecking ball to beat him right now. And because everything, he just seemed to get in the way of absolutely everything, whether it was head, his face, he's brave, and he does what he needs to do. So absolutely Forest number one for the foreseeable future, and as long as it lasts, because we've got to make the most of this guy sort of between the sticks doing the business. He's gone from being bang average to absolutely amazing, and up there in consideration with, I don't know if they do team of the season obviously, but one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best. And when you see some of the saves on individual bases and in individual games, the ones where he's getting a fingertip and you just see the ball just sort of deflect and it whiskers over the crossbar and things like that, they're match winners. And if you've got a player, where did Brian Clough build his team from? He built from the back. He went out and signed the best goalkeeper in the world, and they built the team on that. And I'm not saying he's the best in the world, because obviously he's not, but he's really solid, and he's a real addition to our team. We've got some exciting players up front. We've got some exciting players at the back, but this guy is equally as important as anyone on the football pitch, and could be considered. Probably is, because he is the goalkeeper, but the first name on the team sheet.
People, please do hit the like button if you can. Please do hit the like button. I'm on 16 likes. Get me to 30 likes as well if you can, people. There's 48 in, so if you can, get me to 30 likes, please, before the ends of the stream. Right, let's who should we talk about? Dominguez or Hudson-Odoi? Let me go through Hudson-Odoi. You, Glenn. Like I said, from your angle, you can't see he doesn't score, but for me, it's like he's scoring important goals, especially against Liverpool, but against Man City. And again, I keep repeating, He cost £3 million. £3 million. And as we know, back in the day, was it Bayer Leverkusen or Bayern Munich wanted it for 75 million? Didn't get his win at Chelsea, but he's going to get better, isn't he, Glenn? He's such a good player. And I've always liked him beyond he played for Chelsea, but we got a gem, haven't we?
We have, and having connections with some people down here who are Chelsea fans, they've obviously seen his development through from being a very young man playing for their junior teams and now into a situation where they are now ruining the decision they made to send him on. Ultimately, what they were looking for is for him to develop elsewhere, and there was no better place at that time for him to do that with us. What's really pleasing with me, and I was speaking to Dave at the end of the game yesterday, is that he was speaking to you and him at where was that pre-season game? It's jumped out of my head. Was it Chesterfield?
Chesterfield, yeah.
Right, and how much that the majority of the fan base saw him coming in, price tag aside, as a real talent that we hoped would stay fit and would really develop as a player in our team, and also individually as a player that would move on to a situation now where we've got 5 goals, bags and bags of potential, 2 key goals in two key games, and now a situation where he's on the lips of a former manager of his in the England setup. So now we've got a player who really is making a huge difference for us across the front line. And Nuno, what really delights me at the moment, obviously seeing the press conferences, is just how much him and Alanga are pairing up beautifully, and across that front line are pairing up and switching between and intersecting, and that how little Nuno wants to talk about what's happening between them two. What really is fantastic is that he's getting in key positions. And the goal yesterday, having seen it back from behind, showed, regardless of whether you think Emerson could have saved that or not, is that the pinpoint accuracy of that shot with a right-foot player on the right-hand side, where we're used to seeing him on the left, and how interchanging he's now got a key goal for us in both positions. As you were saying about that goal, Dore, I couldn't see his shot hit the post either from where I was. I thought it just missed. I didn't see that it was on target and that it was tipped round down onto the post. So as a player that is now fit, and although he's got I think it's a left Achilles, left ankle, right, really tightly strapped at the end of the game on the field as he was crossing the pitch yesterday, what's really delighting me is he's staying fit, he's getting himself across that front line, and is really damaging teams for our benefit. Whether we sell, whenever we do, there'll obviously be a big hole to fill for him. But while he's playing for us and he keeps scoring key goals, I'm just going to delight watching him. He's an absolute phenomenal player.
100%.
What a future.
Steve, let's talk about player. Like I said, I think it does lose it with that number 6 role, and we can talk about Yates and Gore or blah blah. But Dominguez, Steve, I think for me, he's another player who I think he's improved a lot, and he's proved me wrong as well. What do you think about Dominguez yesterday, Steve? Like I said, I think he gets to do 2 roles, helping out early in the ball. For me, again, I think he nearly scored as well in the second half. But again, another player has been fantastic for us.
So that slots right into my man of the match there, Ben Dominguez.
Was it Dominguez?
Yes, Dominguez. Was you thinking that, Glenn? Dominguez?
Yeah. Had a great game
for me, Ben, I know,
really impactful.
I think that game suited him down to the ground. I know we've come up with different dilemmas for the midfield, would this play suit that game, Yates suits that game, blah, blah, blah. But that game yesterday, to get in their faces, on their toes, upset them, put some tackles in. Even on the ball, he was calm yesterday. I mean, there was one time, I think it was the second half, we were playing towards the Trent, and he swiveled. I think he beat 2 men, and he played a ball through the lines. And it just showed a bit of calmness yesterday. His discipline was a bit better yesterday. I mean, the technique on that shot he had in the second half. I mean, if you look at that from behind a different angle, it was a great bit of technique. To hit that, actually coming over as well. Again, it goes back to any other player, like a Salah does that, and they're all raving about it. Great technique, and Yeah, so one of his best games for a while, that was, Ben, for me. He really upped it yesterday. And touched back what Des said earlier about helping out, winning tackles. Yeah, he really played well yesterday. And can I just touch on one little come to the Hudson-Odoi thing? Have you noticed one thing since the Newcastle game? They've switched wings because I felt like, and I picked this out of Newcastle away. Aina and Alanga had a poor game that first half, but Alanga didn't help Aina out. And since that game, he's switched Hudson-Odoi and Alanga.
Yeah, but have you enjoyed this? Have you enjoyed it with Hudson-Odoi on the right wing? Because there've been quite a lot of people.
Well, that's the little tweak I'm on about, Ben. It's a bit of a coincidence that they had a poor first half and he's now tweaked it. And ever since that game, Hudson-Odoi has gone right. Now, I am missing that, which he almost scored yesterday by a great save when he cut in and hit the post. But yeah, again, that's the flexibility of it. And that's what Glenn said about the front. No, well, not so much Wood, but Langer and Hudson-Odoi, you can switch sides if need be. So that flexibility. But going back to Dominguez, he just slotted in just a perfect game for him yesterday. He really upped it. He went off after, was it 60-odd minutes? And I felt for that 60-odd minutes, he was one of the best players on the pitch. I know we'll get to Aina and Nico Williams, but for me, just personally opinion, he was one of the standouts. It's just what he did off the ball. He just did all dog work. He just really got stuck in, like we know he can. But he was disciplined with it, because sometimes he frustrates me with some of his react, with the way he rolls on the floor sometimes and the way he dives in and all that kind of thing. But yesterday was a very disciplined, mature performance from Dominguez, I felt, which should carry him. He could cement his place now in that midfield.
Can I just say on those two players, I didn't get a chance to speak about them obviously, but Dominguez and Hudson-Odoi on the right. This is where fans need to be patient and actually watch what's happening. And again, Nuno was stuck with that swapping over to the right for a few weeks. We got nothing from it, but yesterday it won us the football match, didn't it? Do you know, it got us the points. Nuno believed in it. Nuno believes there's a reason behind it. Nico Dominguez, how many people in the last few weeks have written him off? Do you know, absolutely written him off. He's been brilliant all season. He might not be our first name on the team sheet. He's not got the skill of Gibbs White or the pace of Hudson-Odoi or the silkiness of Murillo. But what a job he's done. So I said for a few weeks, the team tends to pick itself, apart from Yates and Dominguez, a horse for a course kind of situation. But fans need to be really sort of remember where we are in the league. And I'm not having this as a bit of a rant back, but this is where Nuno comes into his own. This is where he tries different things. He's doing different things with Dominguez. He's changing wings when it's not quite happening. If he didn't do those things, if he didn't make changes, everyone would be saying he's not got a plan B. Because we'd keep getting beat. We won't win the game. And then fans level that. And I know football fans, by the very nature, are very melodramatic, and high or extremely low, extremely high or extremely low. But I think we just got to realise that this is a credit to the manager. When you think things aren't happening and things aren't working, and then they do work, then we all have to kind of go, we're perhaps Nuno knows best.
Yep. Yes. Before we do get Glenn, I want to say thank you, Lenny, for the £5. Love it. Love you. Keep it up. I love you too, Lenny, and the dog. Bloody hell, I got better looking in a dog. But yeah, thank you for the £5, Lenny, as well. Please, as well, people, if you can hit the like, please, if you can, and help the channel. I'm gonna ask you, Glenn. We know Mancity with T-Bot. Were they crap, or was we just really, really good?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. I think they, like other teams, are starting to respect just what sort of a team we are now and how much we are playing good football. At the end, obviously, Pep was saying, and he no doubt told his team in the week, that they're a really tough team to play. Defensively, they're really strong. It looked to me like they were out of ideas. They really didn't know what to do when certain functions of their ordinarily relatively successful team didn't really do that much. Obviously, Haaland didn't really have that much opportunity. And the threats that they normally pose to other teams, am I still okay?
Yeah. Perfect.
Threats they normally pose to other teams, Doku didn't have very much because Aina was on it.
Yeah.
So Bernardo Silva didn't really have that much because Williams was phenomenal. You know, Foden didn't really offer that much because Anderson knocked him about and kicked him up in the air and was exceptional. I don't think it was just for them. I think we really did. We won our duels and made it really tough for them to do anything in their midfield that would ordinarily grind their attack forwards. And we showed their frailties at the back. We made it really hard for them, and we were just individually and collectively that much better. You know, it didn't matter, like I said, that we had 30% of possession and we had 261 passes to their 609. It didn't matter that we had 9 fouls to their 7, because I don't think half of those fouls were actually fouls. But what we did do, we passed the ball around impactfully. We had 4 shots on target to their 3. And we won more corners and won more ball as a result of it. So it was just, like you were saying, Steve, it was just a real pleasure to see our team playing really, really well against a phenomenally good team who are down on their luck and aren't going to win anything for 3 years. We're just in it and we're playing really well. So a combination of both, I think. We did our homework, we won our duels, and we with 7 minutes to go, the goal was scored, which made the game, for the last 11 minutes with 4 minutes added time, that little bit more pleasurable for us and a little bit more challenging for them. Yeah. The more, like you were saying, Des, the more teams we can do that against, we'll have our issues, but the more teams we can do that against, I reckon there's a good 15 points to the next 30 to come if we continue to play that way, and we're going to finish off with 66 points or so, and who knows from there on. We'll see.
And do you know what, right? Do you know what I don't know if it was a sign of panic, a show of respect, a show of like, wow, we did a proper game here, is the fact that look at the players they had to bring off the bench. I mean, there's that classic, shot now of Yates standing there with his hand on his hips with Bruyne and Manouche next to him, was worth like 200 million between them.
I've seen that picture. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they bring them to on. Who else do they bring on? I forgot now. They emptied their bench. I'm trying to think what else they brought on now.
Lewis came on. Lewis came on and ran around a bit.
Yeah, Konovic. Now, what I would say as well is other little key things that Pep tried to do, which didn't work out. He moved Doku from the left to the right, and he had no change or Nico Williams then. So these little things that Pep was trying to do, he must have been, if he had any air, he didn't pull it out, because everything he tried...
Well, he's just waving his arms around randomly, wasn't he, in the end?
Yeah.
You know what? The Trent, he kept doing this, and I want the Trent. Okay, what the hell? We're like, what the hell are you doing? What's he doing?
But you know what? Like, another thing as well. Like, it's such a Forest thing, and we've seen it so many times. We're up against it, and then teams breaking us, and it seems like the City ground pitch becomes massive, and these away teams just open us up. But even when there was transition in the second half, it always felt we had that defensive block up, that we were just all. Just a unit, weren't we? Even when De Bruyne now was on the half turn, he looked up, there was nothing in front of him. That's why Haaland was starved. Doku was trying his best to try, nothing was coming off. It must have been so frustrating. And they've resorted now to Ruben Diaz saying about the pitch again. So they're just clutching a straw. It's rubbish. And what wasn't it they moaning about? Didn't they moan about it was too wet before, now it was too dry?
It's not the ball's fault either, is it?
But do you know, to the contrary to that, I get both your points. Honestly, I really do. And there is, I see why you said it and made your point in terms of them respecting Forest, but I don't think they do. I don't think they do respect Forest. I don't think, and that's great for us, because they don't respect how good the 2 centre backs are. They think that Phil Foden and Haaland can turn up and not run. And not do anything, because Foden and Haaland were a disgrace yesterday. They were the worst 2 players on the pitch, and teams are coming.
Don't say that to Man City fans. Don't say that to Man City fans. They're pretty mental.
Tough. You can only see it, but it's the same with Arsenal. It all looked pretty until they get in our faces, and then we just take the ball off them and get it away, and then it comes back and whatever. I don't think they are necessarily respecting us to the level we've got to. They're paying us more respect, and in certain ways, the substitutes, the lineups they're putting out against us, they're showing us respect. But I think when it comes to the actual match, I don't think they're showing us much respect at all, because these sides are insisting on playing the way they play, and to some degree, I believe in that. I believe every team should stamp their authority on a game, and but we're seeing with Nuno how he's changing it. Moving a winger from one side to the other, and it actually made a difference. It won the game. They changed Doku over. He got no change out of Nico Williams. He looked terrible, and he put him back on the other side. So it almost admitting he'd made a mistake on that one. And Doku. It always is a live wire. So I just think that these teams aren't actually showing us that much respect, and it's still that thing you see with the pundits. And I don't get involved in that. I don't worry too much what people say, Dore. But the pundits saying we're going to slip away, we're going to do this. I think the teams believe it as well when they come to players, and they come up against it and they think, well, we're going to break them down. We're going to break them down, and they can't break us down. And they just try. What's the old saying? Repeating the same thing over and over again is the first sign of insanity. And it's almost a case of that with these teams where they're just trying to do what they do. And Arsenal, we've seen it in the last two league games. Ipswich were different, they give it a go to some degree. But Arsenal and Man City have come and gone, well, we're just going to play our game. We'll walk through you and we'll score goals. It ain't happening, is it? Because we are so good at the back. I looked at Murillo yesterday and thought, he walks into your team.
Exactly.
He'd be the best defender in their team. And again, just picking up on a comment that was made earlier about best 11s and who fits in. Let's not be silly. City are a quality side. Most of their players, if we had the choice, we'd take them. Even the two I mentioned. But you look at the two centre backs, and the full backs, and you think, I'm talking about that the centre backs not having the best games, not needing to have the best games, but they walk into that team, and I think this is where they're understanding the way we'll block, the way we'll sit in, but they're not actually understanding how good we are at what we do, and then how good we are when we get the ball and bomb forward. And that's where we're picking teams off ultimately. One chance. And yesterday, it wasn't just one chance, was it? We had the two best chances of the game because we scored the winning goal and we hit the inside of the post where the keeper had to make a cracking save. So I just think I get what the guys are saying, and I'm sure teams are looking at us a bit more, but I think there is a little bit of lack of respect. And long be it. Let's hope Hange, when we go to White Hart Lane, plays 10 up front like he normally does and thinks we can beat these, because we'll pick them off as well.
Yeah, 100%.
What was sorry, Ben? What was funny yesterday? Their best two players were the two new signings. I felt for them.
Yes, it was.
The young boy at the back, what a nightmare debut. Was he 19 or 20? He didn't have a bad game actually. And the Nico guy in midfield with the post. This really thing they offered by eating the post. I felt the two new signings were their best players, and that says a lot. That says a lot, really, and it ties in. What I meant, Des, earlier about the respect thing. Maybe not respect was the right word. What I meant to say was panic, maybe, and felt, we need to up this game and to beat these, because by bringing them players on when he did.
Oh, I totally agree with that, Steve. Yeah, totally agree with that. The respect in terms of personnel.
Yeah. I agree with you all in the sense of some of the players on the pitch. Like, we know they got egos, like Haaland and Foden and Grealish when he does play. They got egos, but I know where you're coming from with the respect thing as well. These teams, especially like Arsenal and City, because Roy Keane touched it earlier with Arsenal in the United game, is that these teams just feel they can just turn up and turn teams over. No, you've got to. If teams are low block, you've got to dig in. You've got to open them up. You've got to earn that win. You can't just turn up and expect to win. And you are making.
Steve, what you just said and answers your point and my point together. It kind of puts them in one. The two best players were their new signings. That shows a respect for themselves issue. It shows a commitment issue. because
Mm.
you've got Haaland and Foden who probably think we beat Forest 6-0, we beat them 3-0. You know, we've done
Yeah.
this, that, and the other, and it just probably enhances the point that it might not be Pep's respect. Then it might be the players on the pitch who are not
Yeah.
respecting how good this team is. Because I totally agree with you. The lad in midfield for me was their best player. Is his name Nico as well?
Yeah, Nico.
Gonzalez.
Nico
Yeah,
Gonzalez.
he was their best player for me. He was the one I was quite. He looks a bit of a prospect and somebody who could perhaps, you know, eventually take over from Rodri. But I totally agree. I just think that all sort of pulls it together in what we were both saying, that there was some kind of respect missing because they underestimated how good we are and what they would actually come up against.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
All right, people, please do hit like button, subscribe if you know. Glenn, we're 10 games away, man. We're 10 games away. 10 games away, man.
30 points, Dore. 30 points away, Dore. 30 points away, Dore.
Can we do it? People in the chat, right? God. People in the chat, right? I'm going to ask the panel. Can we do it? Like, we've got 10 games to go, and I'm all day just thinking about this. Like, we're playing, we've got Ipswich next, got Man U, got Villa, got Spurs. And these games are not easy at all. Can we do it, people? Can we make Champions League football? Yes or no? Glenn, let's start with you. Can we do it? Yes or no?
Can we make Europe? Yes.
No. No.
I know. Yes.
Don't try it.
Yes. I think we can. I believe. I think based on the period of time where we've had two really difficult spells, two really pivotal points in the season, we've got points out of them where prior to the season we've really struggled and got not very little. We've got points out of City and Arsenal in this series of games, albeit we lost at Fulham, albeit we lost heavily at Bournemouth. We've got points from games that we didn't think we would get much out of. I was draw yesterday all over. I would have taken a point. We've got points in that game, and we're holding our place, right? And I'm looking at this now. We are 5 points ahead at Brighton in 6th, right? So they've got to win 2 games more than us to overtake us to 6th place. All right. So what we've now got is 15. I think there's 15 points that are relatively straightforward. I've gone through it here. I reckon we'll win at Ipswich. I think we'll win against Everton. I think we'll beat Leicester. The others are either draws. I think Villa might be pivotal. That away game in early April. But the rest, we've got opportunities to get something out of all of those games, and none of those teams fear us. We've drawn with Chelsea, we've beaten West Ham, we've beaten Leicester, we've beaten Palace, we've beaten Brentford, we've beaten Everton, we've beaten Spurs, we've beaten Villa, and we've beaten Man United. That's who we've got coming up. We've got teams that we've taken 3 points from. So none of them, I don't fear any of them. And I'm not going to lie, half of those games I've got down as us drawing the game. I've got us winning against Leicester, winning against Everton, and winning against Ipswich.
He's done his list. He's done
Right.
his list on his list.
Right there, look. Right. So I think
at least Glenn got the memo.
15 points. I think there's 15 points of the 30 that we can get relatively comfortably. Now, I'm a Forest fan and have been for 43 years, right? So I know you can clip this. I know I'm talking out my backside. But I think there's 15 points there that we can get relatively comfortably, regardless, and I would say, regardless of whether we turn up and play like we did yesterday. And you know, Steve Cooper would always say we'd get something out of that game or games like that if all facets of the team play 9 out of 10, and we did yesterday. There's a lot of games coming up, and there's a lot of games very close together. Those midweek games against United concern me, particularly when we've got Villa afterwards. But we've got an opportunity to really make some history with this team this year, and I think 15 points, 2 points, or 1.5 points per game, 2 points per game, and we're going to continue being where we are, and we're going to make Brighton. We're gonna. Yeah, I can see us. I'm talking myself into being more comfortable. No, there's. So yes, Dore, I am saying yes, and I think the 15 points here says so.
Well, okay, let me flip it. I'm going to change the question for who should I ask? I'll ask Steve. Can we get Champions League football and win the FA Cup?
Oh my God. Right, I'm going to go on record and say, if we do that...
Wait. People in the chat, can we... Right, people in the chat as well, can we get Champions League football and win the FA Cup? Steve.
Right. If we do that, you can screw Slot. Nuno deserves Manager of the Year. End of discussion. Because if we do that from the turnaround from last year, that is like, who would have said, like, this time last year, I can't remember off the top of my head what game it was. If you said to me a year's time, we potentially be going to a semi-final at Wembley, FA Cup, and ending up in the top 4. What a turnaround. And I think, to answer your question, Ben, I think, no, I think that's a step too far. I don't think we'll do that. I up to the 2, I don't think we'll win the FA Cup. But I think we'll get Champions League football. Because that yesterday was a momentum changer.
Yeah. Steve, we lost away to Brighton 1-0 a year ago tomorrow.
And goes back to Des' point earlier, that was the game when Matt Sells flapped and we thought, oh my God, who have we signed? How times changed there. So I'm not saying, it's quite possible we could win the FA Cup. What worries me about the FA Cup, we've got a couple of teams in there which we can't seem to beat. Fulham, Bournemouth, these teams, mancity is still in there. There's some hard teams, but Villa, I think, going back to Glenn's point, the fixtures we got left, the Villa away game is the toughest one we got, I think, on paper. I think that game will slip up. I'm just being realistic here. Again, this is, me talking now about potential wins, draws, and losses. I think the other banana skin could be Chelsea at home, because on the day they can turn teams over. They've got enough quality. Man United at home, we got to put them to the sword. I'm sorry, we got to set a marker on them. No, that's not because I don't like them. It's because they are there to be shot at. So there's more than enough points there. I mean, and again, what I said before we went on air, Ben, is what worries me now is 10 cup finals. Is Nuno will instill them, treat every game like a cup final, but also don't underestimate anyone, like Ipswich, Leicester at home, Brentford at home. These games are not gimmies, and they'll be the games we'll take an eye off the ball. And we play Leicester, and I'll say this live on air now: it'd be one of them games. They could be already down. We're going for the Champions League spot. The pressure would be on us. It'd be one of them nervy games. We'd be expected to win. It'd be a local rival. It'd just be like one of them. Each game goes by, it's going to get tougher. But I agree. Like, looking on paper, there's more than enough points there. I think I said before the Man City game, we'd get 18 points with our remaining fixtures. So that's 3 gone. So that ties in what Glenn said. It's 15 points. And looking at the fixtures, I think we'll beat Ipswich, we'll beat United, we'll beat Everton, and we'll beat Brentford, and we'll beat Leicester. So majority of our home games. I think we lose to Villa. I think we lose there. Man United, what was that? Spurs away would be tough, because you never know what Spurs turn up. Palace away be tough, and West Ham away be tough. So there's more enough. Yeah, it's always tough. But West Ham be on the beach then, so again, that'll be a tough game because of that factor.
Before I get asked Des, got some Australian geezer. Forest will win FA Cup and qualify Champions League. Steve's been negative again, worse than Des. I will be there for the FA Cup. What do you mean worse than Des? What do you mean? What's Des done to you?
What I would say, what would be fitting, right? If we beat Bournemouth in the FA Cup final, if we beat Bournemouth in the FA Cup final, that would be sweet justice for me. That would just top off the season. I would.
Again, David, miss you guys. Can't wait for a couple more goals, cuddles with Mr. Wood banging them in as well. As PS, how cute you guys were wearing all red. I didn't get it. Remember, everyone's wearing red but me, so I had to do it last minute. But David, we'll catch up, David. Wait, David. Did we ever bet how many goals Ryan Yates will score this season? Was it just Premier League goals? I don't know what the bet was. Was it 5 goals or 5 Premier League goals? I thought I showed it was 5 goals. He's got one more, David. One more goal, you owe me a top. So you better get Ryan Yates one more goal, Yatesy, as well. Right, this is for Des. And panel get involved as well. Can we catch Arsenal?
Can we catch Arsenal?
Yeah.
Definitely, because they're in a battle now. I've been saying for a long time, haven't I, that I think we should not worry about Liverpool and Arsenal. Let them fight the title.
Yeah.
If they beat us and everyone else, that does us a favour, you know. But they ain't catching Liverpool. We all know that.
Yeah, we all know that.
Now we actually need to start pulling them back into the race. You know, and next week's, I mentioned it in the WhatsApp group earlier, next week is a brilliant fixture for Forest if we win our game. If we win our game, we've got Arsenal and Chelsea. We're at that point now where when teams are playing each other, they're taking points, they're taking each other down. You know, so if Arsenal don't win, Forest close the gap and they pull them in, and now they become significant in what we're doing. A few weeks ago, it looked like they wouldn't be significant and they'd pull away and they'd fight out the title and beat everyone in front of them like they did at the end of last season. So we can definitely catch them. What point I wanted to make, I wanted to flip it as well. If Forest do win the FA Cup or get to the final, if they get to the final, say, because who knows if we're going to win it or not, they'll definitely get in the Champions League, because now it is 10 cup finals and each cup game is a cup final. We have to play with the same intensity and the same purpose and the same commitment. You know, I know there might be rest 1 or 2 players. If someone's got a knock, maybe you do rest them, but we've got to get our best team on the pitch, fighting out in every single game, because every ounce of confidence we can take from a cup run, from a semi-final, from being at Wembley, you know, we've got to use it. I don't like looking at individual fixtures too much. You know, there are games I think we should win and things like that. But we all know, we've been watching football long enough. No one really expected us to win yesterday. You know, if you're being totally honest and pragmatic, you know, so we can't predict football results. If we could, we'd be millionaires, you know, so we don't know exactly what points we're going to get. What I tend to look at more is sort of patterns in what happens, you know, and form and patterns. And when you look at patterns of what's happened, when Forest won those 7 games, we come up against some tough sides and we went on a bit of a sticky spell. We expected that sticky spell a bit later when we've actually turned it around and got some results. And all those teams that appear to be flying, you know, will come up against that. Brighton now 6 on the spin. We might be playing them at the perfect time in the FA Cup, because they're going to lose somewhere, even if they don't deserve to lose. Just the nature of football. Sometimes you win football matches you don't deserve to, or you lose matches you deserve to win. So again, what I'm saying is, you look at the sort of pattern of things, and then you throw in form. Bournemouth have only won 1 in the last 4. You know, if you look at things, Chelsea have just had 2 gimmies. You know, and yes, you still have to win those football matches, but they've had Leicester and Southampton at home. You know, before that, they was in shocking form. So I'd expect Arsenal, going back to your question, I'd actually expect Arsenal to win next week and probably pull clear from us that little bit more, or if we win, remain the same distance. But Chelsea aren't in great form. Newcastle now, you know, have got a cup final. They're also not in the best of form. But what happens is, I think everybody got a bit carried away with themselves with Forest winning those 7 games on the spin. Not many teams win 7 games on a spin. You win a couple, you draw 1, you win a couple more, you lose them, you lose a couple if you're at top of the league. And that's all we're doing now. We've only fallen into a spell where we win 1, we might lose 1, we might draw 1. Do you know? And that's all we need to do. The wheels are going to have to fall off big time for us not to get in the Champions League. Yes, considering the nature of the fixtures and who we've got to play, we've picked off the teams at the bottom. That's what gives me confidence. It's not the performance, it's not who they are or what they're doing. It's the fact we've picked off those teams at the bottom. We can compete with the teams right at the top. We haven't got that many of those. The games that worry me, if any, are Tottenham and Aston Villa away. Do you know, those type of fixtures where you think if they turn up on their day, but again, if we turn up and play to our system and they don't respect it, as I said, we'll beat them. We'll beat them. We'll get a surprise result, or we'll get the result that we deserve on the day. And I just think if you look at the pattern of the way things are gone, everyone's saying every time Forest get beat, oh, that's it now. That Newcastle thing was a bit of a, oh, shit, the wheels are falling off. You know, but we pulled that round. Second half at Newcastle was so crucial. Yesterday was a massive turning point, but Steve used the term momentum builder. You know, and this is what we've got to do now, is keep the momentum going every game. Look, we all fancy us to go and beat Ipswich. Based on the performance last week, I thought we was, I used the phrase myself, bigger, fitter, stronger, faster, you know, all physically more dominant, and we didn't win the game. That happens again, because sometimes you don't get what you deserve. But that makes me feel confident with the intensity of a Premier League game that we'll go and beat them. And if we beat them, you know, it's so important to back up this City result. I said yesterday to you guys, City is actually the more important result than Ipswich because of where we are in the table. But now we've beat them, it's like what Nuno says, isn't it? Next game, momentum. And that's why they say it's about momentum. And when it comes to the FA Cup, let's not go, oh, let's forget the FA Cup. Let's not worry about the FA Cup. Because again, it's the club building and becoming winners. The owner is the biggest winner that has ever stepped foot in this football club since Brian Clough. Since Brian Clough, he's the biggest winner. And he wants to instill that mentality. So let's not start going weak on this competition or that. We said last week when we thought the wheels were falling off, the question was, would you take FA Cup or Champions League? Let's take both. Let's go for both. You know, and that's where I'm really at with it. I'm not, look, we're joking about the humble comment. You know, I'm not being over the top. I think Forest will get a Champions League place because I think they've done enough so far to put points on the board. That 7-game run, the teams below, not many of them have done it. They've gone on good runs, but they've not done 7, 8 out of 9, these kind of things. And they've still got important games to play against each other. Like Glenn says, if we win, even if we win 4, are Brighton going to win 6 out of 10? You know, are Brighton going to win 6 out of 10? It might not even take 5 wins. It might take 4 and a couple of draws. You know, we're basing it on numbers. But what's happened this season is the middle of the Premier League, whilst you've got Liverpool doing what they're doing and whilst you've got those 3 at the bottom really struggling, the middle has just condensed itself right up. With the fact that Spurs and Man United are struggling where they are, it just meant the points tallies are going to be a lot smaller between 17th and 2nd, you know, and that's where we might not even need that many because, again, it's that thing. I've been saying it, Glenn said it tonight. If we win 3, Brighton have to win 5. All the other teams have to win 5. They play each other. They can't win. They both can't win, so you can take one win off already. So I just think it's about momentum. It's about, again, the biggest game we've got between now and the end of the season right now is Ipswich. And then after that, it's the next one, and it's the next one. And I think if we get far in the FA, further in the FA Cup, it will just aid the Champions League push more than absolutely anything else because you've got to play cup final football between now and the end of the season.
100%. Just to get the comment before we get man of match. Martin said I want top 5 and Wembley trip to Villa. Smash Bournemouth in the cup final. Matthew says good meeting Des last night at the Nav. Can you remember meeting Matthew, Des?
I can, yeah. Top bloke. He had plenty of nice things to say about the interview with Brian Roy, Dore.
Legend. Thank you. Let people go and watch it, man. Absolutely a legend, Brian Roy. Man, actually a legend. But Matthew, I do apologise for meeting Des yesterday. But just don't Sorry, Matthew, for that. Jen Rossi, is anyone German? What do you think? What? Forest? Anyone German? Come on. What's it say? Anyone German? Des, Glenn, Dave. Well, I'm asking. Let me ask Glenn. You must be joking. Come on,
Speak
you're
French.
teaching. You're
Oh,
German.
Dore.
Come on,
I
you're
speak
teaching.
French. I don't speak German, Dore.
Come on, you must know some German a little bit, little tad.
Come on, Glenn,
I'm
get
on my
that into
phone.
Google Translate.
Come on,
I can't actually see what he said. If it was on my laptop, I'd be able to see.
Okay,
It
Glenn,
is
you must
that small.
I can't. All it says, all I can read is forest with smiley faces. That's all I can read. So yes,
Let's just assume
Congratulations,
it's a
I'd
positive
imagine that first word is.
yes, that's definitely. But shout out to James from Germany for watching all that.
Congratulations.
As well, did them see this one? Oh, another important one. Hello, can you please send Stuart Pearce very, very speedy recovery because he was one of my favourite players. I think he will enjoy the win. Stuart Pearce, I hope you get a fast recovery for him as well. Like I said, it's a 3 minute applause in the third minute yesterday. So from us and everyone, all the Forest fans as well, and everyone in the football community, hope speedy recovery for the legend Stuart Pearce as well. So, Mr. Pearce,
Kay heard that when she was walking the dog, and she said it was incredible outside the ground. She said she was walking the dog outside, and it was like the roof lifted off the place. She had her headphones on full.
Ashley, good show, Mr. Dore, great panel. It's always a great panel when it's here as well. And Matthew responds, he's all right in real life. Sometimes he is, sometimes he's not.
I'm only here to upset you, Dore.
See what I mean? This is why he's on here to come to upset me. Right, last but not least, we're going to everyone in the chat. Who's your man of the match? We're not going to say play ratings because we've gone over the hour. So, people in the chat, who was your man of the match yesterday? I think I don't even know. I don't need to tell Steve. Dominguez won it, Steve.
Yeah, Dominguez. Yeah.
So yeah. Next up, Glenn, who was your man of the match yesterday? People in the chat, hurry up. Let's go. Glenn,
Olorena for me. Olorena for me, please.
Olorena.
I'll take Olorena. Well. Yeah.
Okay. And Des.
I think it was Nico Dominguez. I think everything Forest did was sort of built on what he was doing in terms of helping Aina, using the eye press. Obviously, Aina played brilliant, and a big other shout. The midfield was brilliant, but Nico Williams, the confidence running through Nico Williams right now is incredible. And again, this is what I'm talking about with momentum. If you can get players on confidence and momentum, just the little turns around the corner, the flicks, be confident to run through two defenders, all these little things. I just thought Nico played one of his best games for Forest yesterday, and he's played some good ones.
But I think he's been fantastic since Manuel away. Since I think was it Mourinho got suspended or whatever it was.
He's been fantastic, Dore, but now what I've seen in the last few weeks is the confidence. Confidence. These guys are all fantastic footballers.
Yeah.
What is confident? It's like Hudson-Odoi, isn't it? Hudson-Odoi is phenomenal because he's confident. When he's not so confident, you don't look the same. I just think of the smallest of things with Nico, like when he's tight on the touchline. And now he's got the confidence to pop it through someone's legs or to run through two defenders, and all of a sudden he's the furthest man up the pitch, and then he's got the support coming off the back of him. So yeah, I thought he was absolutely good. But Nico Dominguez, I just felt everything again when fans are starting to write him off. You see the value he had, and Brian Roy touched on it as well, didn't he? Yeah. Brian Roy, he thought he was Portuguese. He used the wrong term, but I knew he was on about Dominguez. He said he likes the guy in midfield who runs around, but yeah. So I think no, he was brilliant yesterday, Nico Dominguez.
I think as well. I thought Dominguez was fantastic as well for me. Yeah, Callum got the goal, but for me, Dominguez was fantastic. So for me, Dominguez was for me. Right, it's been another great show. People believe we have 10 games to go. Can we get Champions League? I think we can. I said it 2 weeks ago. We'll stay third place. I believe we can. Enjoy the ride, people. That's what we're going to do. Enjoy the ride.
Steve, never do that again.
That was absolutely shocking, Stevie. I know even Dylan can do better. Even your son Dylan can do better than that. That is absolutely shocking.
Kate just said we've all done it though, haven't we? We've all tried it.
Of course, yeah.
People in the chat. Well, that was absolutely shocking from him. But
So we're going on Dore on European tour.
Dore or whatever tour, but we can do whatever.
Live from Madrid. Wow.
Oh days. Right, people, it's been a great show. Thank you,
Sorry,
everyone.
before you go, Ben, could you just imagine Mbappe and Vinicius Junior and Modric on the City ground pitch? Wow.
No, you know what? I was watching Real Madrid against ATL Madrid. I was watching and the stadium. Oh my god, it's next level. And I thought to myself, "Oh, we could be there next year. We could be there next year." Imagine that.
The thing is, Steve, we need them players to come to that pitch because Milenkovic and Murillo need to earn the money. Everything else is too easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve, this is from you, Steve. Thanks, Steve. You just blew my speakers. But yeah. Yeah, as well. I go shout out Dave. We'll do a show Friday for the Ipswich one, so I'll give you a message about that. But yeah, people, it's been a great show. If you want to watch the Brian Roy, what we did on Friday, please watch it. It was amazing. Absolutely top guy. He'll be back on my show, as he did say. He messaged me yesterday, so he'll come on when he's got free time. So he'll definitely be back before the season finishes as well. People, if you are rewatching this, if you disagree with anything like Des says, please get involved as well. So I had to, Des. I'm not without the show. I'm not saying nothing bad about you, Des. So I had to say it. So
hang on a minute. Case just bought me a coffee in.
Right, people. It's been a great show. If you are rewatching this, know what as well? Redirect to Talking Red because Greg's on as well. Des, you're absolutely bellend. But yeah. People redirected to Greg. He's a top guy. He's got his panel as well, talking about the show, so you can redirect to his channel as well. Stephen and Glenn, thank you for coming on my show. It's been a pleasure. So, people, I'll be back next week. Fuck you, Des.
Don't worry, Dore. It didn't cost you.
Well, people, it's time to go. Peace and love up the forest.